This video is brought to you by Skillshare. Stay tuned to find out more.
Does Joyner Lucas feel like he's underrated? You dropped 2 projects this year, and I don't feel like your name is in the conversation the way it should be.
I feel like I'm underrated. It's all about what's working. Like, I don't have records with NBA Youngboy. I don't got records with Kodak. I don't.
Do
have
you
records.
need them, though? I would like to see you with, like, Griselda. You know what I mean? Royce.
That's what I'm saying.
The Spitters.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to see, and I feel like maybe that has been the problem, is that I feel like maybe I keep putting myself in this box. When you just said, oh, I feel like you should do a song with Griselda. What? Like, Griselda, I love Griselda, but I love Royce. Those are my family, but it's like, I don't want to do, I don't want to just records with Lyrical. I'm just relating the Lyrical box. Like, nah, bro. Like, that's not where I want to be.
With the exception of the Kendricks, the Coles, and the Eminems of the world, there's a general consensus that masterfully crafting rhymes and high-concept storytelling aren't exactly the choice of this generation. In all honesty, there's actually come a time where those who refuse to accept evolution are doing more harm than good, when at this point, hip-hop should be focused on the future. And while there's ways to retain those traits and remain crucial to the culture moving forward, which we'll expand on later, it's becoming increasingly hard to argue that bars, for the sake of bars, could still captivate audiences. And in fact, we've reached a point where it isn't enough to skate by on lyricism alone. If you were to look at the golden age of hip-hop and compare it to today, it could be argued that the idea of who's the most lyrical only made sense when there were fewer stylistic differences between MCs. At a time where DMX, Jay-Z, The Lox, Scarface, and others were all performing at the top of their game, but ultimately operated in the same territory, the discussion of who's the best rhymer became the only way to differentiate between levels of greatness. But now, in an era where song crafting is prioritized over a dazzling 16 bars, fans have other ways to measure interest in an artist. In fact, it could even be seen in the aftermath of the Nas vs. Jay-Z beef, as while Esco's brutal diss track Ether outshone Jay's attempts to best his enemy on wax, Hov continues to eclipse Nas to this day. In a nutshell, the fact that Jay has found himself held in higher esteem than someone who single-handedly out-rapped him proved that even when bars were seen as sacred, they weren't enough to guarantee a victory when your fellow artists excelled in the other sides of the game. As a result, rapping with technical skill and relying on it as a selling point even has its own derogatory term that's come to represent the younger fans' equivalents of mumble rap. Spawned by much of Eminem's later career, in which he seemed to be emphasizing using as many rhymes as possible, while hip-hop's new faces were using as few words as possible, Rappity Rap caters to those who try to repress the change in what the general public deems to be cool. Speaking of Needle Drops Anthony Fantano, rapper Screwface Jean believed that those die-hard fans have been duped into thinking that speed or technical ability equal quality.
They don't know what is being said, but for some reason, they're just trained to think it's good. It becomes only a problem when it's Playboi Carti, Uzi, or somebody like that, and they can't hear it. Then it's garbage. But when they can't hear that, like flippity flippity, then it's good. It is the same lyrical content. You're at the end of the 16 bars, you're at the same place. You don't learn anything more about the person. You don't learn about what he feels. The furthest they'll go, they're being deep, is saying, why is it that the industry likes these people but doesn't like us? One is choosing to say it in 100 words, one is saying it in 300 words, but it's the same content. It's the same thing.
So I want to take a quick break to thank our friends at Skillshare, a unique service that enables creatives to turn their dreams into reality, taking the knowledge and the know-how to the general public. Skillshare offers thousands of classes that'll provide you with the tools to make headway with your chosen craft, whether it be learning how to rap, make beats, or edit music videos. Skillshare's got you covered. In fact, we leveled up by finding out how to mix this video's music with the legend Young Guru, responsible for sculpting the sound of some of Jay-Z's most legendary legendary tracks. The famed engineer makes the secret to the pros more accessible than ever before. So what are you waiting for? Skillshare works out to be less than $10 a month with an annual membership. However, the first 1,000 people to use the link in my description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership and access to their massive learning library. Head over to Skillshare and start your journey now. No longer seeking that same level of insight or gritty street reporting that made hip-hop into a dominant force in the 90s, Lil Yachty acted as a mouthpiece for a new generation when he controversially declared what his intentions for his upcoming project were.
It's just fun. It's not serious. I hate serious rap. It's so boring. Serious rap music puts me to sleep.
Said when he was just 18, Lil Bolt's comments garnered the exact response from those hip-hop fans who'd bump regularly early 2000s Lil Wayne, but wouldn't look twice at a Young Thug tape. Angered by the idea that some listeners would rather turn up than digest bars like many of us grew up doing, the hip-hop world that we live in means that to refuse to acknowledge that the marketplace has changed requires stubbornly burying your head into the sand. But when you think of the pillars that have upheld the state of commercial hip-hop as we know it, it's hard to look past not only Thug, and to a lesser extent Gucci Mane, but Future and the Migos. All hailing from Atlanta, these artists took the emphasis that used to reside on the bars and reassigned it to sing-songy flows, repetition, and their own regional styles. And in the case of leading lights such as Uzi, Post Malone, and the late Juice WRLD, they even had a resentful relationship with the limitations of the term rapper.
I don't make rap music. You know, I might rap, but I don't make rap music. I just make whatever I like. You can't really categorize it or put me in a box or anything, you know. I think it just comes out. I don't want to call it a genre. I don't want to put myself anywhere that people want to put me in. I just want to be myself and, you know, keep working.
So, when this is the view of what the Billboard charts and the mainstream audiences see as hip-hop's leading lights, where does that leave the lyricist? Well, the answer is that you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, straight too far from what you're known for, and your fan base will accuse you of selling out. But focus on the craft of bars, and you might be struggling to make a living. With top-tier lyricism no longer serving as a good enough focal point, it explains why North Carolina MCs Rhapsody and her records Layla's Wisdom and Eve could be hailed as some of the finest records of their respective years, but couldn't reach higher than number 75 in the charts. Although he fared well enough to get into the top 10 with ADHD, it's the same aversion to so-called rappity rap that's presented as ceiling on Joyner Lucas's commercial ascent. Likewise, the Roots Black Thought continues to make his case for top 5 dead or alive consideration, but he finds himself tied to a specialized listenership. Produced by Hit Boy in the midst of a comeback year, Nas's return to form in King's Disease came from opening himself up to reevaluation of sounds and features, while Freddie Gibbs' continued success all comes down to striking a balance between the pitchfork crowd and the underground rap market. Meanwhile, Griselda have created a movement around their swaggering brand of Buffalo drug dealer bravado. But as explained by leader Westside Gunn during an interview with Revolt, they succeed because, while Conway the Machine and Benny the Butcher deliver some of the most impeccable bars this side of Raekwon, they don't see themselves as in competition with the new school, but focus on expanding their own niche. Lil Uzi just dropped. I've been waiting for that. NBA Youngboy's doing his thing. Everybody's doing their thing. I love what's going on right now. We're bridging the gap. In tune with Kendrick Lamar's 2017 comments to Forbes, which spoke of the need for evolution and detailed why he wouldn't shun a lot of artists that may not be a Kendrick Lamar, real hip-hop lovers, not the stereotypical old heads, are coming to terms with the fact that the mainstream may not see lyrics as cool anymore, but they still have their place. Praised as one of the finest wordsmiths to emerge in recent years, Nick Grant's words speak to how lyrical rappers can get their fair share at a time where they're basically marginalized. Contending with a world where a catchy chorus is more likely to catch fire on TikTok than MF Doom style bars, the South Carolina MCs suggested that wordsmiths need to get out of their comfort zone, or get out of the way. People were saying, okay, yeah, he can rap, But can he make records? He told Revolt in the wake of 2017's Return of the Cool. For lyricists, or someone who people really think can rap, that can be a little difficult. So I wanted to make something different for everybody. I can appeal to everybody. I ain't limited to just verses. Living in a world where melody and immediacy is king, what's clear from all sides is that true lyricism will always have its place as a means of education, inspiration, and to expand minds on a massive scale. But it can only be part of the package, and can no longer serve as a sum total of an artist's appeal. To their credit, major label subsidiaries such as TDE and Dreamville have heeded this shift, and while their artists still tend to put a lot of their stock into the craft of writing rhymes, no two artists on either roster is the same. From Isaiah Rashad's introspective bars, Ab-Soul's psychedelic, and Kendrick Lamar's Pulitzer Prize-winning insights, through to JID's lightning-quick wit, Cole's wisdom, and the global perspective of Boz, both camps know that to thrive, your identity needs to be more than just a natural aptitude for spitting. In fact, just rhyming without having the more robust sense of individuality that makes for an Ab-Soul or a Schoolboy Q compelling will make you seem like a fossil from an era that's behind us. To some purists, this is impossible to comprehend, and at one stage, Dreamville's founder J. Cole was one of them. But sooner or later, he learned to appreciate this changing of the guard for what it is. As, at the end of the day, there's nothing less cool than being the old man left screaming at the clouds as the wave of culture passes you by.
Years ago, I seen one of the freshman covers of one of the freshman freestyles. Yeah. And I was like sad. Like, I was like, damn, this really over. Like, I know now that I was wrong. All I was doing was being afraid that the thing that like I fell in love with, you know what I mean? Yeah. Was like no longer like relevant or respected.
This has been a HipHopMadness original. Make sure to stay tuned and stay up to date on everything we got going on by hitting that subscribe button and notification bell. Oh, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HipHopMadness and join the movement.